Hi, my name is Benny Johnson. As some of you know, I've been struggling with addiction. However, I decided to change my life and went into recovery. I've started this podcast 90 Days Clean, and I want to take you along in my journey. What does lie ahead of me? Let me be frank, I do not know. Will I ever drink again? I do not know. This is how Stairway to Redemption was born. It is my search for answer in a real-time process of what is going to work for me. It is then my aspiration to help you figure out what's going to work for you. It is our journey together. Alright guys, welcome to the STR podcast, Stairway to Redemption. Today is a special episode. I welcome Joe and Rich, two friends. I can call you guys friends, I guess. Right?
Yes, you can.
I went inpatient with, not only we went inpatient, but we went also out to, we're currently attending the same outpatient program. Today we are going to talk about the teachings and the limitation of those teachings, how effective they are, and how we think about them. So that's why this episode is titled "It Works Until It Doesn't," trademarked by our friend Joe, Counselor Joe.
What else were we going to talk about? Didn't we write it down?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
a couple of things.
There are a bunch of stuff, but why don't you guys introduce yourself first? Rich, why don't you go first?
Rich,
grateful
alcoholic.
Go by Woody.
Woody. Today is day 136, I believe. Let me look it up on the app here. Day 135.
135. Congrats, man. Congrats.
Sober. So, it's one day at a time, and living the dream.
Yeah.
As far as with being sober, and it's really been amazing. I don't know if you want me to talk anymore or just.
We'll circle back.
We'll circle back.
What about you, Joe?
Joe.
Yeah.
Today is 124 days.
Nice.
Clean, alcohol. And basically, as he said, living a dream. Not exactly, but living like I haven't in a long time.
That's nice. So I like to start usually the podcast. I start by the state of the mind address. Basically, it's telling us how you're doing. Something different than I'm doing fine or everything is fine. What's really going on right now in your recovery? Go ahead, Joe.
Basically, being a better state of mind. I mean, I've been seriously drinking since I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. On and off. In the 80s and 90s, when I first finished school, and even before I finished school, I was one of the youngest art directors in probably in New York State. I was actually mentioned in magazines. As you know, I've done a lot of things in my life and been a lot of places. But during the period of time that it really got bad with the drinking and whatnot, I just wasn't able to think straight, and now I'm getting a lot more done. Whether it be working on cars, house, boats, life, basically getting it all together. Having my wife trust me more because of some of the things I've done in the past. Friends, family have been behind me all the way. Mm-hmm. So that being said, these days, just looking back and even trying to get things done would take me hours, where now they take literally minutes. I have more drive than I used to have during my my alcoholic days. But all in all, I'm staying busy, but not too busy. Which would agree with me, because we've spoken about this before. We're lucky enough to be in positions in our lives that we can take the time to concentrate on our sobriety, as well as do some work. I own my own business. It's going to be 30 years in January 1st. Myself and my wife own a design, marketing, and photography company. Starting to get back into the swing of things. My wife has kept us afloat. I've done some jobs myself. Now it's time to concentrate on next year and what follows. I just don't want to do things too fast and overwhelm myself and end up in the same boat I did before, which was overworking 24 hours a day, 365, and then finding too much time alone, which led me to the drinking during the day and whatnot. And that's all out the window now, thank God. But that's where I'm at. I mean, I feel a lot better. I'm a lot healthier. Basically, I've been concentrating on myself with all my doctors during a period of time. All my primary care physicians and specialists all decided they were going to retire. So it left me in a little bit of a bad position where now I've found all new specialists. I'm still working on 2, but I'm concentrating more on myself and my relationships. So everything's going along, I think, pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. Good, like, what about you, Rich? Like, how?
I'm going to give you a little background.
Yeah.
My dad's German, English, Irish, and a little French. Mom's Albanian. And then a little bit about me. I went to Chaminade High School. Graduated, it was a class of 427, graduated in the top third. Went to Adelphi, did a 4-year program in 3 years, Dean's List every year. Got accepted to 10 different dental schools. Went to University of Penn for a year, but then I left because it just wasn't for me. I wasn't, my dad's a retired dentist now, but it just wasn't for me. So I came back home. Got my degree from, another degree from Hofstra in accounting, and that wasn't me. I didn't like sitting behind the desk. So then insurance broker, that's what I do now. Now, the reason, why am I saying all this? I'm trying to say that it doesn't matter age, wealth, background, color, creed, anything. This insidious disease affects everybody, all walks of life, from Wall Street to Main Street. And that's, one thing I wanted to say that, the 3 of us realize that, but just, anybody who's listening out there,
No, it doesn't discriminate at all,
it doesn't. And it used to, everybody has that one picture of the drunk lying at the subway in New York City, and they think that that's what an alcoholic is.
Yeah, but I think that's changed a lot.
What I'm saying is but now people are it affects doctors, it affects lawyers, it affects
teachers,
teachers, everybody.
And these are a lot of people that we've basically met, seen, listened to through different avenues, whether it be AA, whether it be some of the other.
But I still think that people believe that
there's a stigma attached.
That there's a stigma attached because and now I'm in a good place now. It's 100, like I said, 135. But and we had talked about this yesterday. I had told a friend of mine that I was an alcoholic, and I went to inpatient, and he was like, "You're not an alcoholic." And he's like, "I drank just as much as you," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't understand how much I drank. I drank, until I passed out." And it wasn't because to just get drunk, it was just because that's what I wanted to do. And the thing is, it's hard to sometimes, because that could be, I told that to my sponsor, and he was saying that if you say that, that's almost giving you an avenue to say, well, he doesn't think I'm an alcoholic, so I can have a drink. So, it's a fine line. But other people I've told it to, they were like, "Rich, you're my hero."
I'm getting that a lot too. It's great to have friends and family.
Right.
And and I get it all the time from my sisters, my brothers, and my friends, and especially the friend that actually dragged me to rehab. Well, he didn't drag me. He actually basically shut up my house and said, "You're going." Really great friend. And I've admitted it to all my great friends. Right off the bat, I'm just saying, hey, listen, I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah,
and you can take it any way you want it. But all in all, they're very, very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable now, knowing that it's all over. It's more prevalent.
But you know what I noticed the most was when I told friends and family. And certain family members didn't say, they weren't like, oh, you're not an alcoholic. They were like, oh, okay. But now I think they're taking their own inventory. Like,
absolutely. People
I remember Rich, not remember, but like at Christmas parties, what other parties, Thanksgiving, birthdays, graduations, this and that, drinking with him. And, we drank about that. And now they're taking their own inventory.
Yeah, people who drink about the same as you guys or like as me are like now self-conscious. They're like, wait, if he's an alcoholic, maybe I am an alcoholic.
They're questioning themselves.
And there are usually two reactions when they question themselves. They accept that maybe they should reevaluate their drinking, not necessarily go to inpatient or outpatient, or they deny it and they want to convince you that you are not that bad. So, they're deflecting and projecting onto.
Well, that's I'm lucky that way. Wherein I don't have any of that. I tell them I'm an alcoholic, and I've had 3 friends basically turn around to me and basically say, you know what? I think I'm drinking a little bit too much, and one of them drinks a lot of wine. You know what? Maybe I am drinking a little bit too much.
That's cool.
And then another family member said, you know what? I think I'm going to lay off it. Another one, and this is 3 within a period of me getting out and telling everybody. A lot of people do. You know that. You can't fake it. You can't hide it. They know, tone of your voice, the way you are, the smell on your breath. And you were deluding yourself that everything was okay, nobody notices.
Yeah. And the other thing is that family, we went out last weekend, we went to Hibachi, Kumu in Bayshore for my dad's birthday. And, they do, you can get alcohol there and they do the sake shots and whatever. Yeah, but nobody at the table, I wasn't, and I said, look, to my family, I'm like, glad if you want to drink, have one. And they're like, no, we'll do it, and out of respect to you, and I like that, but I'm like, you don't have to. And then afterwards, they actually were like, wow, actually felt. It wasn't actually, we didn't miss anything.
Yeah, by
not drinking. It didn't add to the celebration for Dad by having by not having the alcohol.
Yes, so it's different.
It was different.
But, it's still enjoyable.
It's still enjoyable, definitely,
And I think a lot of people just think, they're like, oh, well, when they said to me, you never can drink again, or someone, I was like, never?
The concept of never for them is
like never, ever.
Even for us, like the concept of never, I don't bother with the never. It's too far. It's too far to think.
I'm just saying that never was when I first was in rehab. And I had talked to, but then as I got in there and was with the workshops and with Evelyn as the counselor and everything, and talking to Joe there, talking to you there and everything, then you realize. Because when I first went there, I thought, look, I'm going to go learn how to drink like a normal human being. And then I was like, a week in there, I was like, I'm an alcoholic. And I could say it a little bit more effusively as to what type of an alcoholic, but I was a full-blown fledged alcoholic.
You card member carrying.
Because it's like, it's...
Here, I'm an alcoholic. See my card?
It's like you can't say to people, well, I'm a little pregnant. You're not. Pregnant. You're either an alcoholic or you're not an alcoholic. It's not like... And so then once I realized that and embraced everything there, I tell you, I might still be on the pink cloud and I want it to last forever, but I'm not, and I am taking the naltrexone, but I do not have the urges that people have said.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
I think I'm in the same situation as you. I was taking the pill version, naltrexone, and I'm actually on the shot version, which for its most part does hurt a little bit. Sitting down for a week. But I feel it does work. I mean, or it could be mind. It could be everything. You know, it could be your environment and how you feel.
Yeah.
And
I'm not on the shot or any of it, but just to see the difference, like we all have
I can't say it's working. I can't say it's not working. It could be my own, as one of our counselors would say, I've built up my self-esteem enough to, do this. And I'm not doing it on my own. On my own. We're not doing it on our own. Obviously, we're friends and we've got, support systems and everything in place that also help.
That and the structure is the biggest for me.
Yeah, speaking
I'm crazy with this. Like I always have a book when I was meeting clients and I would put them in. And now I am more focused. I agree with Joe. Like I'm so super focused, it's ridiculous. Like my dad retired, like I had said. Now I'm converting the dental office to like my office for insurance.
Yeah.
And just being in there, I'm just like a mile a minute. Like what's next? And then last night, all of a sudden I'm like it's 10:30 at night. I'm getting out of the office.
Well, I find myself doing the same thing.
And the thing is, but when I was drinking, I remember I would work until 5 or 6, and then I would go drink all night. So I remember when I was drinking, I would look at my watch, and it's like 1 o'clock. All right, it's going to be 5 o'clock soon. And I look at my watch. I thought it would be 5 o'clock. I look later, and it's like 1:15. It was 1:15. So I'm like, then I did a couple more things, and I'm like, it's got to be close to 5.
And it was 1:30.
I know that. So why are you looking forward, because you think that's what you need? But I want to circle back to the tools. So this episode is about evaluating the tools we learned so far in recovery. And I would like to start with basically what we're doing here in outpatient. When we're in group, we'll talk about the positive mindset teaching, stoicism, those You know
what the thing was that, not to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
I took it literally, like I said, I embraced it. When they said Leo Hurley was like 90 and 90, get a sponsor and get a home group. I did that.
No.
That the minute, and Joe had mentioned earlier, the two of us, I almost feel guilty, and I don't admit it to too many people because
let's start with that.
About having the money where for the first 90 days I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, let's start with that. I think it's an easier way to start with. You guys had the luxury, is it fair to say, to focus 100% on your recovery. I had that luxury too because I'm living now at home. I'm not paying rent, but you guys have businesses that you were able to output to siblings or significant others.
I told you that.
And the issue we have with some of our peers in recovery in outpatient is some of them are struggling to do that because they still need to make money to pay rent, to take care of the kids, and that stress combined with being able to attend basically put them in that circle, vicious circle.
That can do the vicious circle.
Vicious circle. So how do you guys?
I mean, I didn't not work, but I just maintained my client. I didn't take anybody new. No new business for 90 days. I just said, well, wait, and then I just maintained the current clients, and because I'm a Medicare broker, so I was right in it was right in the middle of when annual enrollment started. It's October 15th to December 7th. So that was within the 90 days. I was like, I am not going to deal with somebody new, I could have made the money, But I'm like, I'm not, because I need to do sobriety was number one. Because Evelyn put that in my head when I was there.
Right.
She was like, that's got to be your number one thing, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it was.
Go ahead, Joe.
Back to what Benny was talking about. We find ourselves in not unique, but in a different situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that we feel bad. I mean, we've spoken about this.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't like to flaunt it, that we've had successful businesses. We are smart enough to have put nest eggs aside and things that we, monetarily, I mean, money's not everything, but yeah, you need money, especially if you own a house and do whatever. But we try not to flaunt it, where we try to give some ideas when we can.
Yeah.
To some of the other, other people in the group.
The other thing is the support from my parents and my siblings and my brothers-in-law was, I don't know if, I mean, my brother-in-law basically saved me twice. We can go into that later.
Yeah.
Help me when I had two instances. But I'm saying with the backing of the family, and also with the money, I had money saved, but also, my parents are like, all right, here, we'll take care of this, we'll pay this, we'll do that, and then they were like, we'll pay your bills for a couple of months.
But so like, what do you think, guys? Like, we were talking about this earlier, that like the problem with something like outpatient is they're trying to make like a cookie cutter for everybody. But like for people who cannot put 100% of the time in recovery, is there an alternative for them to still to benefit from, because the people who cannot just, show up for 3 hours of a day, every day, 5 times a week, that's a lot for them. But at the same time, you need to put some time to work. So you're like, you have
to work on
yourself. You have to work on yourself.
It's got to be a balance. But the other thing is they have a lot of options here. Where if you can't go in the morning, I don't know about the 3 hour, but I know with the 1 hour, if you can't go in the morning, you can go at 6:30 at night. So you have a time frame there, where maybe you can get it at work.
But the 1 hour, the 1 hour is usually after when you're being stepped down for intensive. Because like they don't send you 1 hour out of page because that's usage.
Do they have a 3 hour at night?
They do, usually morning and night.
I mean, there's other avenues to explore too that we've spoken about, not just where we're in now and the ILP that we're in now. There's other groups and Zoom sessions, other recovery avenues to explore, and a lot of people some of them just maybe a little bit computer illiterate. I can't say they're lazy, but they have to be pushed, they have to be helped. And I think they don't take advantage sometimes of some of the things that are offered here.
I agree with that 100%. They also don't take advantage of the programs, the apps for like meeting finder. If AA is your thing, you could go to a meeting.
There's a lot of different things. And as you had spoken, there is some cookie cutter putting everybody into the same box and basically saying you're an alcoholic, you're an addict, you're an alcoholic, you're an addict, and just stamping them out. And some people need a little bit more kid gloves, a little bit more help, a little bit more push. A lot of them need a lot of help, especially some of these women that we're dealing with that have kids, that have addictions, that have been in abusive relationships. They sometimes just don't know where to go and where to get the help, and don't take advantage of going and talking to somebody. Or maybe they do, but don't follow through with it. I don't really know, because if I had the opportunity, which I do, and there's something particularly I want to do, I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to find a way. Any way it goes. I've got that drive that I have to. It's just like yourself. You found time, and you want to put together this podcast.
I love that.
And it's something to do, and it's something that's going to help people. It's something that's going to help yourself.
You talked about that from the get-go. Like you were saying, I remember you were not even 90 days, and you were like, once I hit 90, I'm going to start that.
Yeah.
And so you always had that, and I think it's great, and I want as many people to listen as possible, because like they say, maybe there's just one little tidbit that either Joe, me, you, someone else that you've had on the pod, Kurt, someone said something that, appeals to them, and they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And the other thing is, I've embraced this 100%, said I screwed up, not because I'm a Catholic and a Catholic upbringing, and not because my parents were, I love my parents, but I'm just saying I don't blame anything, any extraneous things. It was me, and I denied it for years.
Yeah.
And deep down in my gut, I was like, I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I knew it when I was drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I was an alcoholic because I would always joke with my friends. I'm like, well, let the alcoholic teach you how to drink, and I would always, but the thing is, once I decided that it was me and I was totally 100% dedicated to this, it's been good. And I'm not saying that I just haven't had the urge, thank God, knock on wood, that to want to drink. But there are so many options, because if you don't like AA, you could do the SMART.
We're going to circle back on AA.
You know,
and do the SMART and stuff. But
AA is good. And I like it, but sometimes they try.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, but I want to hear what Joe said.
No, I'm particularly, as we first were getting to, is the IOP, and basically, we sit there sometimes and we listen to some of their problems, and hopefully, when given the chance, we can give them some ideas.
Yeah.
They come here to get those ideas, in my opinion. And help them out. I mean, recently, a death in a family or something like that. It's a support group, as big as it is. Small support group, large support, it doesn't matter, but it's a support group. It's a sounding board. Just to, get it out there, to discuss, to talk about it. Sometimes they don't have places to go or people to talk about or people don't want to listen. Parents, kids don't get along with their parents. The parents just don't understand. There's a lot that goes in, and some of these people need a little bit more, as I said, kid gloves and push and help. More say than maybe any of us here, but I feel, how do we push them a little bit more to get that help and give them that support?
Some of them are like, well, I'm doing this because my girlfriend or my wife, my wife is going to serve papers. That, I think, is a totally wrong reason to do it. That's just my personal opinion, because, okay, so then she pulls the papers back, but then all of a sudden there's something else and she's like, I want a divorce. You're going to start drinking again.
Yeah, it's basically putting your sobriety on if conditions, like even the living sober, I think the 25th chapter, like the if conditions talks about that, like don't put your sobriety on if, like, if only my wife was going to stay, if only, I had a better job, if only I could stay sober, if only. It's good if it gets your foot in the door, but then to stay there, you need to want it yourself.
Until
it's not. The other thing is with the jail, or you're on, house arrest or something.
Yeah, like
well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go there because it's mandated.
Well, yeah, but you see that all the time. They're coming here because it's mandated, not particularly because they want to get it. Want to recover.
Yeah, so let's talk about this really quick. When you're in the IOP program and you have with people who have different mindsets, some who are like just here because they're mandated, they're just showing up, right? And those who really want it, and those who have ulterior motives, how do you pick your team? Because you need to build your support network. Us, it was easy because we went to inpatient together and we connected inpatient. We knew we wanted it, so here we are, doing this. But like how?
Because I could tell some people they just don't want to get sober. Remember that guy in group when we were in the 3-hour group.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have the urge to do cocaine. And we were like, well, here's a phone number. Oh, I don't want it. Go to this AA meeting. I can't make it. Go to this. I can't make it. And you
they will give you all the excuses in the book.
You can bring them like the old adage, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really bad adage. Can I take that back?
Yeah.
Benny, I need you to edit that.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit this out. Like,
actually, I usually leave him because that's kind of funny.
Well, this is
let me remove the foot from my mouth.
You can't make him drink water.
Yeah, see, there was another part to that. You can only, how do you pick and choose? You can listen to what they say. The mandated people that don't want to help themselves or get help, there's really nothing you can do.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Other people who need some help, you can possibly push them in the right direction. You can give them ideas.
Yeah.
Such as even just recently in one of our sessions, one of the members of the group was having problems getting through to a job. And you just give him ideas on how and why things are happening on the computer, what he should do. Nudge him along, and give him some information. Information is important. Take what you want from what I'm going to give or what we're going to give, and leave the rest.
You've always said that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was my sponsor. I was lucky. I mean, he's in recovery 42 years, 39 years straight. He was 3 years, then he had a week where he just went off for a week. So he never counted it, but I said to him, it's 42 years. I said, if that's within your first 5 years, then maybe, all right, but look how long you've been in it for the long run. And he said that what you have to do, like he because I had a problem where somebody called me and needed help, and I said, Rudy, how do I do this? And he's like, do exactly what I said to you. Rich, do you want help? Do you want to get sober? Do you want a sober life? The answers are yes, then we can sit down and talk. My answers were yes, and I sat down with him. And, that's very simple, and he has some simple ideas, but they make sense. He's like, don't drink, go to meetings. He says that to me every day. And it's like, yes, it is very basic.
It works.
It's very basic.
It works until it doesn't.
But I'm saying you're right. But it's very basic, but like a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds basic to us.
Because we're deep
to other people in different situations, it's not as easy because there's so much more going on with their lives that we even don't know.
Yeah.
Can we relate? Sometimes, is it empathy or for them? Yeah, more or less it is. But I haven't been in that position.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about that also.
Like, there is, for instance, when some, of our peers in the groups come and we know them, they're usually the one that comes for like a PD party shower to tell them like, yeah, you got this. They complain about the situation, but then the next time they come, they complain about the same situation. There's no improvement. And sometimes I'm about to lose my shit and be like, what the fuck? Grow up. But at the same time, I can't because, they're suffering. But like, okay, so there's that fine line that I'm even like, I've a trouble writing is how much leeway you should give a person in recovery who is doing the same thing over and over.
That's the whole thing about insanity, doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And the same results, but there is that fine line.
Yeah.
And I guess each person is different. I don't know where, some people, I understand what you're saying. They come in, they tell the same story over and over and over and over again. What are they looking for?
Yeah, what are they looking for? For us to tell you, oh no, you did the right thing because now you're
here. Is that what they're looking for?
Are you saying that the story they're telling over and over and over again is when they use, or is it how they get recovered?
It doesn't matter. It's whatever they're going through, or people in codependent relationship, like
Exactly.
But I'm saying
like
sometimes
they explain this that they're in the situation, and basically here's what happened. They explain they are in a situation. We congratulate them for at least you're aware of the situation you are, and then they're off. And then come back with like, dear is the situation. And we're like,
okay, I see what you're saying.
We congratulate you for being aware of the situation you are. Now you have the tools to make a different decision. And then rinse, repeat. And I'm like, get the fuck out.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
It's the same thing over and over again. Wherein, okay, you want to make a difference in your life. Next time you come in, give us an idea of what you've done.
Differently. Yeah.
To make a difference in your life.
And also, someone once told me, he's like, before you do the murder, before you kill someone, call me. Meaning, before you're gonna pick up don't let me be like out of your mind, and then like, let me call my sponsor and talk to him. Call before, and that might help you. That's just an idea. But I see what you're saying. But sometimes repetition, like Leo. Out when we were in inpatient.
Yeah, Leo Hurley, by the way.
He was over and over, and he told the same jokes, the same story, which I understood why he did it was to make a point, and in case somebody new was in and missed it.
That's a different story. No,
I didn't know
that's a speaker with his own shtick.
Yeah.
We're talking about
people in recovery.
In recovery, and outpatients that basically are inpatient. That just keep doing the same thing over again and expecting it to change. And when you give them advice, they will
find you excuses.
Well, they fight because why have you been to 32 rehabs?
Yeah.
Like I've been reading the book on Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
He's been to 75 or
I
60.
saw the whole show
or
on
65
Yeah,
rehabs.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, one, I think he was making too much money. So, but that's another story. But then again, there were people that when we were inpatient, were like, I've been to 15. They did a survey once.
Yeah,
one of the classes.
Like 20
Who's been to one? Who's been? Is this your first rehab?
More than
5, more than 7, more than 10. And then the one guy was like, "Well, I've been to 15." And
well, I've been to 2. Well, if you count detox at 1, just detox at 1 and ILP, I guess it's 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it right. Let's say it's the 3rd time. I'm gonna be truthful. But you have to learn from your mistakes, and a lot of people just don't learn from the mistakes.
Let's go back to that. What's different now?
For me?
No, because that might help somebody. What's different now that you didn't do the first 2 times? Because this is my first rehab, and
by the way, we need to say that's your first rehab.
This is my first.
This is my second.
This is my whole first. This is my first time through the whole thing.
Let's.
Joe, go ahead.
No, really. I think it's just.
I remember you telling me, by the way, that like 90, the number 90 for you was weird because once you hit 90 days, that's when you will like relapse for some reason.
Well, that's true. A lot of people look forward to those 90 days and they plan ahead, which we've spoken about in our group, the 3-hour group. Is well, if you're going to drink, you're going to use. Sometimes people use, not sometimes, a lot of times, people use milestones. Whether it be dates, 30, 90, ooh, look, I got a year. And they plan ahead. On 90 days, I think I'm good, and I'm going to have myself a little party, That wasn't what my mistake was. My mistake was too much time on my hands, and let's face it, I wanted to drink because I like drinking. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the time. I'm not blaming COVID. Did it make me feel good, all warm and fuzzy? Did I get anything done? No.
But the first 2 times, did you think you were an alcoholic or you had a problem?
I knew.
You knew.
Definitely I knew. I knew, but it grasps hold of you, and then you find yourself in the same rut. The second time when let's say the real second time I did the inpatient. No, really, was that I was tethered to the bottle. I found myself going to the beach with my wife, not enjoying it. Every 15 minutes, I had a bottle in the car. I got to go to the bathroom, and if I didn't, I couldn't get up. I was shaking. I knew that it was just a horrible feeling, and I never want to have it again.
Yeah.
I was actually, they thought I had diagnosed with wet brain and whatnot. I forget the name of the syndrome. There's a certain syndrome. They took me to the hospital. They did brain scans. They did all this, and thank God I snapped out of it. But that alone put the fear of God into me, basically saying, dude,
wake up, man.
You're going to be drinking, you're going to kill yourself. Your liver's going to give out, something's going to happen to you. Do you want to enjoy the rest of your life, or do you want to be tethered not just to a bottle, to a machine? Live your life that way, horribly, because I've seen it, and or do you want to live life to its fullest? So I made that conscious decision that yes, I am an alcoholic. No, I can't drink anymore. And let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, because with me, it was, well, you know the story. Yeah. I lit myself on fire with a barbecue where I was barbecuing. And
I don't think it was really on purpose, but you did light yourself on fire.
But I lit myself, and my mom had to put me out with a fire extinguisher.
As long as she didn't put it out with a rake.
And you know, because she was, I was actually talking to my mom about this last night, and we were reliving it. Like, you know, it gets her upset. But at the same point, she's so happy with where I'm at right now. Yeah. But she was like wondering, because she was like, I was wondering on whether to bring a blanket out and throw it on top of you and put you out. And then I saw the fire extinguisher, so I took the fire extinguisher. Now, with that being said, that happened to me, I have scars on my wrist here and my finger that I look at almost every day.
I think she's happy that you still have your beard and that didn't go on fire.
Yeah, because that would have been something else. But I do have the scars from that, and not that I'm thought to drink, but every so often I look at it and boom, I'm like, what was that? Because honestly, and I still don't understand this to this day, and I was talking to my mom about this last night, and I was like, I didn't think I was drunk. Sometimes you know when you're drunk, and it's like, I gotta sit down because I can't stand.
Yeah.
I actually was out there with hamburgers.
I'll agree with him. My situation was a little different, and yes, I did have a buzz. Wasn't drunk, or I thought I wasn't drunk. Going down to fix my burner, tools, can of oil on the side to fix the oil burner. I didn't slip down the stairs on my own, I swear. The tread broke. Now, could I have done it differently if I was a little straight? Possibly. But I still fell down the stairs, dislocated both my arms and everything, being under the influence. So that'll show you.
Because sometimes you don't know. And the one time when I went to the hospital, because they took me to the emergency room because I drank so much, and then I was going to have dinner. It was New Year's Eve with my parents. And I was like, I'm going to lie down for a little bit. And I just figured I needed to lie down. They couldn't get me up. But I didn't really, when I got up, I didn't think I drank that much. I was like, well, it was 2/5 and some wine. Yeah. You know, but to me, that wasn't a lot. Like, to someone else, they'd be like, what are you doing?
But I would like to, circle back to what you said about the AA and evaluate now AA when it comes to as a tool. We were talking one time and we said like AA doesn't like deep thinkers because AA is basically shut up and follow.
Well, a lot of them are like, not for you, not for you, not for you.
Like,
and it's like,
you know, when we're talking about people in IOP, some people, very few in IOP, both IOP and AA, because you can end up in a bad group, let's be honest. There are like several things that can make you, shy away from the group, from being a woman, and being a hit-on when you're the group, or
being agnostic.
And they talk about God, and you are not like, no, this is not what AA
And then they
says.
try to put it as a higher power, but then it's just God,
or
which I respect. Everybody has their own religious beliefs and everything. I respect that. That's all fine and good. But then there's people who try to drum it in.
So what do you think are the limitations of AA when it comes to?
Well, see, you know what I like about AA?
Yeah.
Is that I don't stick to one group. I have a home group. Thursday nights, St. Martin. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I go there. That's my home group, and I'm there Thursday nights. I do the coffee. My sponsor kind of edged me. He like poked me, and he's like, "Yeah, he'll do it for the next 6 years." In which I like commitment. I think it's a good thing. I go there and make the coffee. But what I'm getting back to is Monday. I'm somewhere. I'm in Wantua. Tuesday. Well, Monday is usually here, and then I go to my sponsor. Does a step meeting at his house. And Tuesday I'm in Wantua. Here, then Wednesday and Thursday I'm at St. Martin. Friday I'm in Farmingdale. Saturday I'm in the Parkway group in Hicksville.
God bless you.
Yeah, man. And you going everywhere. All right.
And then Sunday I'll go to either back to Wantua or I'll go to the South Oyster Bay group. And see, to me,
it's like basically don't stick to one group.
I don't stick to one, and I have a home group because it's like I'm comfortable with them. But I go to all these other meetings because you get different ideas, different vibes, and because I've heard, and I didn't want that to happen. I've heard from Kurt. I've heard from other people that look, sometimes it gets like this way, and I can't stand it because it gets to where they don't understand you. And so far, I haven't had that, and I don't know what I would do if I did.
That's because you're following the book and the whole program to its utmost, it sounds like, going to all those meetings, which is great. If that helps you, that's perfect. Myself, I don't feel I have other avenues to explore, like Smart Recovery, like a bunch of the other Zoom stuff does help. I mean, an hour and a half here and there. It's just seeing different people, which is almost the same thing you're doing. But following the whole STEP program and everything, being told you have to do this, and then I read it, yes, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I agree. I know that. Then it gets to, and you have to hand it over to God, your free will. And that's a little bit, and that goes in suit with our upstairs, our 3 hour. Was you've got free will, and if there is a God and a higher power, He gave you free will, and I don't know, and I'm taking it literally. Does it work for me? I go to the meetings, I go and listen to what people say. Do I follow that program? Not particularly. I go there as an escape, as to meet people. It's not like a networking thing to me. I used to do a lot of networking, but I like people.
I like the social lubrication of talking to people.
That's exactly right. But I feel in my recovery, I have enough self-esteem and enough, inner peace in myself to be able to not particularly have to follow steps. I understand them and everything to that extent. I do believe in a higher power. Yes, I do. But I also believe that when they say service, you see, I come from a background over the last 20 years. My service is different than...
there is service.
Well, their service is making coffee and stuff like that. I belong to a couple 501c charitable organizations where I've raised, seriously, probably $500,000 plus, and then we've given it away to people, families, organizations in need. To me, that's service, that's my release, that's my inner peace, seeing people's feelings, making it, I feel good doing that.
It's good. There are different versions of service, and I'm not disagreeing with you, and I'm not saying AAs. And see, I'm weird because I don't do all of this. I don't do it to the letter of the law. Go through the steps. Did them once. Went through them and listened to them. But I like going to meetings because I talk to people. I hear their story and this and that. They consider when you go up and you give your talk as service. Now, you have a different version of and doing the coffee and this and that. And the thing, I think what they're saying is not service, but it's like you're giving back and you're helping other people. Yeah. And because...
So, for example, somebody could take my podcast as my idea of giving service.
I believe that, yes.
Yeah.
Bill W., who Alcoholics Anonymous, said that, look, if you want to feel good every day, you want to help others, and you want yourself to be helped every single day. At the end of he said, don't get caught up in the steps. At the end of the day, read the 12 steps, and you've probably done all 12 of them.
Well, that's
without even knowing.
Well, I've read that too. I mean, I had plenty of time in between sessions. and the counselor gave me the book right off the bat. She said, "Oh, you know, why don't you read this? I could see you a year from now standing in front of the room." And then I got to it, and you know, the counselor agrees with it. It's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. And what you said makes total sense. I believe in whatever makes you feel better and keeps you sober. I think it's great. I mean, Benny's doing his podcast. He's helping people. I do it a certain way that I help people.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all about helping other people.
So do you think, question
I mean,
now.
some days I teach religion to 7th graders.
Yeah.
And at my church. So that's kind of like almost a service, you know, where these kids are like, wow, this guy, I didn't tell them my whole story, but they're like, wow, this is an adult and he's actually cool. And, you know.
I see that, but what about when people in AA tells those who relapse that if they relapse because they didn't do the step properly? Is that a fair point? That's where
I've heard it.
That's where I think that AA is like a bit pretentious. Like, what the fuck do you know? Like, that's kind of harsh to tell somebody, hey man, you didn't do this. That might be right, that might be wrong.
That also goes into suit, and I discussed this with counselors, and I probably discussed it with you, and Rich, I probably mentioned it too, is like, what do you call yourself? Well, you can call yourself anything. Are you an alcoholic?
Yeah.
A lot of them do the steps, and all of a sudden they're recovered alcoholics.
Yeah.
Well, you can call yourself anything you want.
Pretty much.
And the other question is, again, with our whole thing, it is until it isn't, is with AA, where they get all caught up and they're like, oh, you can only talk about alcoholism. But drug addiction might have led you to alcoholism, or using cocaine might have led you to this. And that's where I disagree with a lot of the stuff that AA, knock on wood, I haven't heard somebody say you relapsed because you didn't do the 12 steps. I've heard people share and say, I'm back. I didn't do the 12 steps. I want to do them. And I mean, I'm only, not only, because it's always about...
It's always relative.
It's always quality, not quantity. Yeah. I have 135 days, quality days. And so I haven't heard that yet, but I think people get too caught up in a lot of this stuff. And like Joe was saying, whatever you do to make you sober, do it. And that's what I'm doing.
And feel good about yourself. And feel good about the people around you.
I mean, if I have to sit in the corner, stand in the corner on my head eating peanuts, and it keeps me sober, I'm doing it.
I'm glad there's not video here.
Because we don't want to see that.
We like to see that.
But yeah, definitely.
But again, with the AA, you know, I have nothing against it. I mean, it has helped thousands of people. Okay? I mean, but one of the other things that it basically says is that if you don't follow the steps, your likelihood of recovery is average. At most. That builds into the self-esteem and a lot of other things. Now, whether or not they mean it that way, you could take anything you want and make it what you want.
Don't quote me, but Dr. Dewey.
Oh my God!
I want to throw a Dr. Dewey out.
Dr. Dewey for those.
The
head of NYU addiction program.
And he told me this.
Yeah.
Because I was asking him, because I was still inpatient, and I said, Dr. Dewey, what's this story with naltrexone, Vivitrol? And he's like, it's the same thing.
So did I.
And so he told me the difference is, he goes, if you just go to inpatient and you leave, the percent, and don't quote me on the percentage, he's like, the percentage of recovery is 50%. He's like, if you go there and you do the steps, it's like 68% or something, or something like that with AA. He goes, if you just go inpatient and do naltrexone or Vivitrol, 78%. I don't know, but it's a higher.
I remember.
It's a higher number. I don't know about the percentage.
Along with other drugs too that he mentioned, which I take.
But he said that. But that's what he was saying, where you don't have to go to AA after inpatient. He's like, it's almost like you do that, and he's like, these are what the percentages are. He's like, I'm not endorsing or denying AA, but if that's the case, and all you got to do is go inpatient, take naltrexone, and there's a 78 or
I think the social part of AA and the social part of outpatient and the hour.
Even like smart.
Smart. Yeah. You need that. You need to be social.
Yeah, because you're building your network. Like you cannot build your recovery network just by.
As I said that to Joe, I was scared. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Joe, counselor.
Yeah.
That when this is over, what to do. And he's like, you got 6 months. I said, yeah, but what's going to happen? I said, I am taking it one day at a time, because he caught me on that. He's like, well, what are you talking about, mister, one day at a time? And so he's like, but because I love this where I'm a schedule guy. So I have it written in my book, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30 to 10:30. And I know that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened kind of when he stepped me down. He called me surprised. He came in, you're stepping down. And all of a sudden I was like, 3 hours? Then what am I going to do? Yeah. Now it's going to be an hour. But, at the same time, I was like, he's like, oh, you have to fly, little bird. It's time to leave the nest.
Oh, my God.
But really, it's like, what are you going to do after this? It's really up to you. Yeah. And then, is it a question? Or you can answer that question for yourself.
Yeah.
By doing what you're doing now.
Yeah.
This is not your whole life. This whole thing.
No, but I love it.
You stay with AA. You stay meeting people. You do what you're doing because you're doing great.
Yeah.
You can change it up. Do something different. That is my whole thing. I don't want to be stuck in a routine again. I want to continuously learn to do
because the other thing, I agree with you. And the thing I had said to Joe is, I was like, I don't see. And he's like, probably because you're one of the deep thinkers that he's had, and you.
Well,
and he's like,
I don't know how deep I am.
But he's like, you guys think a lot.
Yeah.
And he was like, because I said to him, I don't know if I'm going to be a guy that's going to be in AA for 32 years. Not that I'm not going to be sober for 32 years, but I don't know if
you're going to be that guy.
That guy in AA, sitting in the corner, I'm not
where I'm real, where I could see going in it for a couple of years and this and that, and not to say that it's.
You stop in occasionally.
Do you know it's blasphemy right now? If like the guys who we go to the rooms with listen to that, they're gonna fucking hang us, man. They're gonna hang us.
I don't know if they hang us.
But how some people are very.
They're gonna send us out to the cornfield.
Yeah, you know how some people are very dogmatic about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and those.
See, I think if you're dogmatic about your sobriety. Because look, with AA or without, because there have been guys coming in the room and it's like they always say, is anybody doing a day count? And one guy's 25 days. Then he comes in the next day and he's
3 days.
3 days. Then he comes in the next week. 5 days. Then he comes in next week. 1 day. So, I mean, they keep on coming back.
They keep saying that too. It's just like, just keep coming back.
Just keep coming back.
Even if you drink.
Because they say two things are going to happen. You're going to stop drinking or you're going to kill yourself. Not suicide, but you're going to drink yourself.
If it becomes like that, 3 days, 1 day, 3 days, I think really some people should take them aside and say, listen to me.
Yeah.
Did you think of maybe going back to rehab and really trying to get it right this time? I mean, is that something that can be done? Of course it can be, but who's going to pull?
And then the other question is the marijuana maintenance. There's a guy that does this. He raises, are you counting days? And he's like, well, I'm 4.5 years without alcohol, but it's 20 days. No marijuana.
We did it about they call it Cali sober, but
we
are pushing the hour right now. I think we should stop and maybe continue later for extra time. But for this episode, I think we touched on a lot of issues. And I would like to, end this with, opening the floor to you guys. And is there anything, you can say what you would like to say, but if you don't have anything, what would you say to your younger self that
Well, when I say to my younger self, that's a tough one for me.
Yeah. Me personally, let me tell you, my younger self, I would just punch him straight in the face and be like, hey man.
Well, you see, I'm in a different situation than that. And when it comes down to it, I've always been good to people and everybody. And even when it comes to you got to make amends, in the AA thing. I don't have anybody. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
But the whole deal is this. We may be out of the norm, which is still good. But I mean, what would I say to myself?
I know.
It's really hard to say because I've done so many things. Maybe I should have taken one particular thing a lot more serious. I was actually into chem and bio. Did I want to be a doctor? Yes. Did I want to be this? Yes. Did I want to be that? But I've done a lot. I mean, from art director, production director, owned my own magazine, worked on elevators, worked on cars, did this, bought my first house at 26. There are some things I don't know. I'm not going to punch myself in the face.
There are some things I would say to the younger self, but basically I don't regret anything. I'm not romanticizing it like they say, don't romanticize drinking. Yeah. But when I partied, I had fun. I had fun being trashed out of my mind at an Allman Brothers show until it wasn't, and until I slept for the whole first set and woke up for the second set, and that's when I started feeling that there were problems coming. But I mean, I always had fun when I went out drinking, going to concerts, doing this, doing that, and whatever. And I'm not gonna say, oh, it's always been bad. It was good until it wasn't, like our show is set, like we're talking about with this episode. And what I would say to the younger self is, just watch out and try to moderation, young Rich. And one last thing, watch as many things. This is what works for me. I've read C.C. Sabathia. I've read
Matthew Perry.
No, Matthew Perry I'm in the middle of. Okay. I read the My Pillow Guy story.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty intense, Mike Lindell. Then I've watched the C.C. Sabathia. I watched him on, he had Behind the Grapefruit Tree or whatever it was. Ellen Vargas, she was a reporter for, watch movies, 28 Days, When a Man Loves a Woman. Just to keep me in, thinking.
I think that's important.
I like to be that, so I think.
You like thinking recovery.
So that, I'm watching these movies, reading this stuff, and doing this so that, and Elton John, reading about him. And then just one last thing. There was one thing that all of these people always said, I need help. 3 words, I need help. You need that? And that's really was.
Yeah, I need help.
Every single one. Elton John, CC,
Vargas. Thousands of them.
Yeah.
But they all said basically the same thing. I need help. And the minute you say that, I'm not saying you're going to get cured, but it's a start.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming to Stairway Redemption. It was fun. 1 hour and 2 minutes. All right, guys. See you for the conclusion. There you have it, folks. This was Stairway to Redemption, episode 9. It works until it doesn't. Thank you very much. A lot of thanks to Rich and Joe for being the guests in this episode. What a fun we had talking about the different ways of recovery and the limitation. That part where Joe basically talk about the older that you cannot force a horse to drink was fantastic. Poorly chosen, but very funny. So as always, I will see you guys next Friday. Follow and subscribe on social media.